I say I want to see these on screen, but I know all too well what an adaptation can do to a somewhat peaceful fandom. I did, after all, watch Shadowhunters. Hello everybody, it's Katie here. So Alice Oseman just announced that her graphic novel series Heartstopper is going to be turned into a series for Netflix, and I'm so excited for her because she deserves this, and Heartstopper is such an adorable story. But it did get me thinking about all of the other books that I would love to see on screen, either through a series or a film, so I thought I would share them with you. So these are just some of the books that I'd love to see adapted because there are so many. But I'm starting this video with all of Alice's books. Every single one of them. So I first had the idea for this video last year, and I don't know if the idea that I had for Alice's books would actually work now that we know we're getting a series of Heartstopper, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. I would love to see her books as a series that incorporates all of her stories, because we know they're set in the same world anyway. Characters from earlier books tend to make cameos, and so I just think that a series that focuses on all of the stories could really work. It would give us a chance to see all of these characters and their individual struggles. It would also give us a chance to explore the side characters, add in new stories for them, and also just have a moment where all of the characters come together. So similar to what they're doing with Shadow and Bone, where they're mixing that with Six of Crows, I'd love to see that for Alice's books. With Heartstopper getting a series, it's still something that they could potentially do, because we know Heartstopper is connected to Solitaire anyway, and with them all being set in the same universe, all of the characters could be present. And Alice also writes such diverse characters, so I think a lot of people would be able to see themselves represented on screen if these were to all be adapted. And also, I just really want to see I Was Born for this as a show. Please! And I think that this is the way that it could work. So, to the team making Heartstopper, I think I've got a pretty solid idea. So the next one up is another UKYA book, and it is Noah Can't Even by Simon James Green. I know, you're all surprised. Me dropping this book in a video. Such a shock. So I know the TV show rights to this have already been sold to a team that has made shows that I love. So that is really exciting, but we also haven't heard anything else about it. So I don't know if it's still going ahead or not, but I need it to. I need it. This would make such a funny TV series. It is like the classic teen novels that I read in high school, like the Georgia Nicholson books, but it focuses on a gay teenager, and we just don't have these type of stories for gay characters that often. And I think this would be a great opportunity to show teenage boys that there are characters out there like them. It's really funny, it'd make everybody laugh. I just think there's a lot of opportunity with this book, and I need to see it. So the next one is a bit of a sore subject because we nearly got there, but then we didn't. And it is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. And honestly, I'm saying I want to see this, but I don't actually know if it could work. I mean, I could make it work. It could work for me. I just don't know how it would work for a general audience. I know it can get quite confusing, and I don't know how well the story will come across on screen. I think it probably is one that's easier to read for yourself, but I would still love to see it, either as a film or a series. I am gutted the TV show didn't work out, especially because Maggie was writing the pilot episode, but I do think that there are probably a lot of reasons why this wouldn't work as a show. I'm willing to bet that the story between Blue and Gansey probably holds it back a lot as a show, because they don't kiss. That's a big part of their story, is that Blue is too scared to kiss Gansey. And I think in the film and TV industry, especially Hollywood, they just have this overwhelming need to make everything revolve around sex. I'm worried that this is something they're going to do with Shadow and Bone as well. Is just throw unnecessary sex scenes in there. I really hope they don't. I feel like when it comes to YA especially, turning that into a TV show, it tends to get sexed up a lot. So I do wonder if that is one of the reasons why this just wouldn't work. But honestly, it could be such an incredible slow burn. It could just look so magical, and I want to see Ronan. Please. So yeah, I don't know if we'll get another chance, but I would love to see it. So my next one is a graphic novel, and it is Check Please. How cute would this be as a series? It could even work really well as a web series because Bitty is a YouTuber, so you could do it through a series of videos, but I think it would be so adorable. It would just be the little slice of happiness that we all desperately need right now. I think it could appeal to a lot of people with the fact that it has hockey included in it as well. I'd just really love to see Bitty come to life. So next up is a classic, and I'm cheating a little because it has already had a film adaptation, but I just want another one, and it is Morris by E.M. Forster. E.M. Forster is the author who dragged me into classics, and Morris is just such an incredible story, and it did get a film adaptation back in about 1989, I think it was, and it is a gorgeous film. I love it so much, but I definitely don't see it getting that much hype, which is a shame because it's great. But I also think there could be another version. We remake classics all the time. How many times have we seen Pride and Prejudice? But Morris is a gay classic. It has such an important message that I think we still need to be telling. So I think another adaptation would introduce the story to a whole new generation, and I just really want that. So please, can we make another Morris? Next up is a series from my teen years that I still have a lot of love for, and it is The Mediator by Meg Cabot. Meg announced fairly recently that there was another adaptation in the line for this series, but there have been several opportunities since I read the books where we thought it was going to be turned into either a film or a show, and then it never happened. So I don't get my hopes up anymore. Whenever I hear that it's been picked up by a company, I keep my expectations very low. But still, I would love to see it on either the small or the big screen. I do think it would probably work better as a TV series now, especially with it being an older series of books. I think a lot of it would probably have to be changed as well, so I just don't think films would cut it. I have a lot of love in my heart for these books. I honestly don't know if I'd enjoy them as much rereading them back now, so I haven't touched them in a good 7 years, I don't think, just because I want to keep loving them as much as I did back then. But the characters in these books were so fantastic, and yeah, there'd be a lot of fun on screen. So I'm hoping that this time it works out and we get to see it. So next up I have Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I really want to see this as a film. I think it would be so visually gorgeous. I know that the film rights were bought just after the book came out, I think. I really got my hopes up over it, but then nothing ever happened. I still want to see this as a film. I'm hoping that it does happen eventually. This is one that I do think would work as a standalone movie. There are so many potentials for a great cast for this. So many good twists and turns. I just think it would be such a treat for the eyes to be able to watch this as a film. So my next book, I did actually debate long and hard as to whether to include this or not, and I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm gonna say it anyway, and it is the Foxhole Court. The reason why I'm so unsure is simply because of the content. It is a very, very dark trilogy, and I do love this story, but I know many people have problems with it, and I can completely understand why. It's one of those stories that you really have to be fully aware of the content of before you delve into it, but I do have a little avenue that I would like to explore with it. So I think that it could potentially work as an anime. I know that Nora originally wrote the story up as a manga. She posted 1 or 2 pieces of the art from it back in the day, and it definitely does fit into that sports anime and manga type of style, but with a lot more trauma. The reason why I think it could work, even with its darker themes, is because of an anime I watched a few years ago called Banana Fish. If you've never seen the anime or read the manga, it is a story that, like the Foxhole Court, revolves around trauma and abuse and drugs and the mafia. So it did give me a lot of the same vibes as the Foxhole Court, but without the sport aspect. So I think it could work as a sports anime, but as a very dark niche sports anime. I think it would be very difficult to achieve, and I honestly don't ever see it happening, but if it was to happen, that's an idea that could work for it. So the last book on my list is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. But Katie, you ask, why haven't you got Carry On in here? your favourite book of all time. Well, my anxious little friends, I'm relating it to this. So it's no secret that Carry On is one of my most loved stories of all time, but as much as it pains me to admit, I don't think it would work as a film or series by itself. I would love it to, but I honestly don't know how much it'd work. But I do still think that we could see Simon and Baz on screen through Fangirl. So we know that Carry On started as a story in Fangirl, and that Kath writes fanfiction and we read her chapters throughout the book. The Simon and Baz in this is very different to what the actual Simon and Baz turned out like in Carry On, but I still think that we could see Simon and Baz on screen through Fangirl. So my idea for this would be an adaptation of Fangirl, either a series or a film. I think it would probably work better as a series just because of how much I'd want them to tell through this. But you could have it as a contemporary series that follows Kath in university, but when she's writing her fanfiction, instead of just seeing her type away at her laptop, it could actually show us what she's writing and we see her stories play out. And so that way we would still get Simon and Baz and bits of Carry On, but it's still a contemporary series set in a universe where Carry On is the Harry Potter of that world. And then if that was to do well, we could have Carry On after that. I don't know. But I think that that could work, potentially. I'd like it because then I'd still get to see Simon and Baz. Honestly, I would love Carry On to be film or a show. I really would. But I'd be so terrified of people not liking it. Usually I am very calm when it comes to adaptations now, just because when I was younger, when adaptations would happen, I would throw a fit if things didn't go right, if things didn't look how I pictured them, and you know, I got over that as I grew older. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people are still like that. A lot of people complain about the damp eye colour of the actors playing the parts. But now I am definitely a lot more chilled out, and I just think if you don't enjoy an adaptation of something, then just put it to one side and continue loving the books. It doesn't have to affect you. You can take that as a reminder for anyone who's planning to watch Shadow and Bone in April. I say that now, but then I'll probably end up with a list of things I hated about it. And I'll look like a massive hypocrite. But yeah, as of right now, I do tend to not take the adaptations as seriously and just enjoy the ride with them. But for Carry On, I think it would be a very different story. I just love Carry On far too much to trust it in the hands of people who want to adapt it. I would be terrified of Carry On becoming a film or a show. There are so many other stories that I love that if they were adapted, I wouldn't care if the plot was changed, if the characters were different. I'd just get on with it. But with Carry On, it would hurt me physically, emotionally, in every way possible. But yeah, if it was part of Fangirl, then it wouldn't be as bad because I know that that's Kath's version of Simon and Baz, so it wouldn't bother me too much. So yeah, they were just some of the books that I would like to see on screen. As I said, there are so many more. If you enjoyed this video, then please do let me know, because I could definitely make another one with how many other ideas I have, so let me know down in the comments. Also, tell me what books that you are desperate to see adapted. What would you rather see them as, and how do you think it would work? Let me know all the bookish things. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye! Imagine looking at Baz pitch though. I think I would just cease to exist. I love Baz so much. I just, who could possibly play Baz pitch?